go, guys. Hey, look, it's param/value/df1b566e. And you know what that means? It means that in the bottom left part of the map, in the red, we have our Terran player from Team World Elite. It is Loner. And up at the top of the map, in the green, fighting for his life in this tournament from the team Invictus Gaming, it is IG.Xigua.
All right, so here we are, guys, and IGNProLeague now, not a very enviable task for him. He's got to win 3 games in a row to be able to make his way back and get into the finals. Loner in a pretty dominating position at the moment.
No kidding, and I mean, there's always been a big debate, you know, who's better? Is it IGNProLeague or is it Loner? And right now, man, I mean, Loner really proving that he could be the person who should carry the torch and be the light of China.
That's right. So if you guys are curious what's going on today, you were expecting StarTale versus FXO. Not StarTale versus FXO, it's Quantic versus FXO.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Quantic forfeited their match, so FXO was given the win. They'll be moving on to the next round. So in lieu of that, we held this regional that we were planning to broadcast these matches from. We figured that today would be a perfect day. We still want to give you some content. In fact, we want to give you 1 billion hours of content, as we did start at 2 p.m. Pacific. It's what, 4:40 local time now.
1 billion.
Yes, close to 1 billion.
It's pretty close.
I think it's going to be, you know, maybe more like 4 or 5, depending on how long the matches go.
It's
but,
about as close as the billion of Thors we saw yesterday.
Trillion, I believe.
Well, it was trillion? Okay, my bad.
Yes.
My bad. So here's a little Loner fact for those of you that may not remember. Back in 2010 at BlizzCon, Loner actually made it to the finals of that tournament against Genius, actually.
Yes, he did.
And Genius did win that tournament, but that was back when Genius, I believe, was NSP Genius. He was not on MVP yet, so
yeah.
A little Loner factoid. He's been in the StarCraft community at a high level for basically all of the life of StarCraft 2 so far.
And as we can see, Loner going for gas off of 1 base now, so no wonder X gasless fast expand like we've seen out of him. It is going to be probably more conventional reactored Hellions into expand afterwards, although we'll see if he has something else in mind. IGNProLeague, on the other hand, getting gas pretty early on, so not going to be fast as possible. Zergling speed, but certainly not going to be a super high queen count at the beginning either.
Yep, that's right, and it is good to kind of switch things up a little bit. Initially, people were like, oh, Metropolis is such a huge map, but you know, it's really not. It's really not that big when it comes to 4-player maps. It's larger, but not, like, gigantic. So this is a type of map where if you go for that next lifestyle, 30 speedlings early on, you can really shut down your opponent's natural expansion quite hard.
And we'll see if IGNProLeague wants to do just that. First 2 queens are coming out now, and he's reinvesting back into his economy as he accumulates his gas, and will have Zergling speed very, very quickly here. Almost has enough gas saved up for just that. Now, on Loner's side of things, he built this factory really far away from that barracks, and we don't obviously see any sort of reactor being put down yet, so it's not going to be reactored Hellions. And we'll see if a tech lab gets put down. It may just be Banshees right away.
It certainly could be. The other option is a Hellion drop as well. This is a good map for it too, but nope, there's the tech lab, so Banshees will be the order of business. And did that Overlord see anything? That's kind of the big question here. I wonder if IGNProLeague was able to get a glimpse. No, he didn't catch a glimpse of it. All right, so IGNProLeague still in the dark to a certain extent about what his opponent is doing.
If you notice where he put his Overlord, though, he had set it right up here because he wanted to duck in and see what add-ons were being put here, how many reactored Hellions were actually coming out. So maybe that was an indication as well, as he was able to duck in and got about to here before he was driven away. So he should have been able to see most of this space and didn't notice a factory or a barracks at all.
Now, the big difference... Okay, never mind. The big difference between what Loner is doing this time between now and last time is that he's not getting cloak. In fact, he's actually mining more minerals, not getting a second gas so that he can put down that 3rd command center a little bit quicker this time around. But he could certainly still go into mech play like we saw last game. We'll have to kind of wait and see.
It looks like IGNProLeague kind of thinks something is up, though. I moved 2 queens back into the main. Well, like I said, didn't see a factory down here whenever he sacrificed his Overlord. So
it's pretty obvious that Banshees are a strong possibility if you don't see any Hellions show up at about this time. And like you said, if you don't run up that ramp and see the factory next to the barracks. So yeah, IGNProLeague able to use kind of the process of elimination to narrow it down to a likelihood of Banshees.
There we go, and that likelihood is a certainty, as we know. But Spore Crawlers and multiple queens at all locations, that's a pretty good way to be. So Baneling Nest coming up now. We'll see if we get Lair Tech in just a bit. Has enough gas for it, but hasn't decided to put down the, hasn't decided to invest in it quite yet. There it is. There we go.
You know, I do like the Baneling Nest a little bit earlier than some Zergs choose to get it. A lot of them decide to wait until after Lair to go for that. But with this, Xigua could potentially decide to become aggressive and go for some sort of Baneling bust when your opponent goes Banshees. They generally do lack a decent ground army, so that does kind of open up a possibility of a Baneling bust doing some damage too. So it's an option for Xigua. It may not necessarily be what he's planning, but it's certainly a possibility here. So you see some Zerglings running in. Yep.
That's
trying
right.
to deny that.
But unfortunately for him, not going to be able to get anything done. However, this Banshee may not be able to get much done either, as it's already taking quite a bit of damage, down to just 59 hit points.
Yeah, managing to kill. Oh, not even killing a drone because he's not able to target fire. That Banshee, oh, getting taken out.
Boom.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I feel like a Cloak is a little bit better way to go if you're going to go Banshees in TVZ, just because with Queens, it's so difficult to do damage otherwise. This does allow Loner to get his Infernal Pre-Igniter upgrade for his Hellions a little bit quicker. So his Hellions with that blue flame are going to be able to get in there possibly a little bit sooner to take advantage of a third base that Xigua may be taking soon. But, you know, overall, I from watching some games lately of this kind of style in TVZ, I definitely like the Cloak variety better than the Uncloaked. I think it seems more effective.
Well, we'll see now what Loner's going to do. It looks like he's going to drop in some Blue Flame Hellions here in just a bit.
I like it.
Macro Hatch coming out for Xigua. He is reinvesting back into a Spire at the moment as well while his third base comes up, so he should have enough gas for about, 5, because he did invest in Nubatized Carapace and +1 Carapace, Zerg Ground Carapace as well.
All the
should have enough. All of the Carapaces should have enough for 5 or 6 of those Mutalisks right away.
Well, here come the Pre-Igniter Hellions doing that plus damage to light units, and will he be able to kill a decent amount of workers here?
And no.
Not really, no. Good response by Xigua.
Oh,
Great
Xigua,
response.
that was so good. He's only lost 1 worker.
No kidding. He just annihilated that drop. That Medevac's like, guys, where are you? Is everything going okay by the lair?
I'm here to pick you up if you need it.
The Vikings like, they're all dead. Give it up.
Wow, Vikings are cold-hearted.
They have to be, man.
Guess so.
That's right. That Viking, he's like,
Well,
I'm dead. Oh, I'm alive. That Viking has suddenly got such a positive outlook on everything. He's like, every day is a new day now.
Oh, thank God.
That's right. I remember the time when I was at the Zerg base and I was down to 8 hit points. But now life is so full of possibilities.
Why are you sending me back out to scout again?
That's right.
This doesn't make any sense.
It's like, it doesn't matter. I'm just so positive about everything.
I've killed 2 overlords. I've paid for myself.
That's right.
Anyway.
He's going to be fine. He's going to be fine.
I guess so.
Don't worry.
I'm scared for him now. Well, really scared for him is now there's Mutalisks out on the field.
Oh, man, yeah, he could be in trouble.
Well,
Don't be too positive yet.
5 Mutalisks coming back, and indeed we again see Loner moving into that mech build. Triple Tech Lab factories for the time being.
Yeah, some harassment being done with those Mutalisks. The missile turret does not finish. There we go. It finally does. And with the repair, yeah, the Mutas are going to need to make a bit of a run for it right now. Supply-wise, things still fairly even in a Terran versus Zerg standpoint, even though we do see 106 to 89 in TVZ standards. That's pretty even.
Yep. For now, though, looks like it is indeed another Ro4 coming up for Xigua, as that's how he's going to combat mech. 4 factories up in total for Loner. And prioritizing tanks this go-around. I don't even know if we have... Okay, there is 1 Thor out, but that's the only 1.
Oh, man, this is so exciting for me because I've been playing mech exclusively in Terran versus Zerg for the last at least year now. And it's tough, you know, when you're trying to learn from the pros in terms of TVZ, mech, there's not a lot of resources to really draw off of. Not a lot of people do it, but now everybody's going to start doing it. I'm going to be able to learn how to do it better myself. It's going to be so good. Well, yeah, there's always goody, but I mean, you want a variety of players doing it so you can get, you know, a good sort of spread of different, you know, nuances in the strategy.
Well, Xigua taking bases number 4 and 5 now as his opponent takes base number 3, and not really going to be able to block that orbital command all that long, so it's going to drop down here in just a second, but those Mutalisks are going to swing right back in here momentarily.
Yep, special edition Thors, man, those things look so sick.
They're amazing.
So awesome.
Yeah. And Xigua losing 1, almost 2 of his mutas there.
Yep, the missile turrets are still there, guys.
That's right.
Just wanted to check.
Yeah.
Right.
Mutalisks have confirmed that
Yeah.
and taken some, well, pretty significant losses.
Now, this is an interesting map to go mech on because it's not quite as closed as some of the other maps are. So it's a wider area to defend. We'll see how Loner decides to go about doing it. Right now, you know, understandably focusing a large part of that army at the third base area. He does have his natural kind of more or less walled off, but yeah, this constant Mutalisk aggression is so annoying. Sometimes it is kind of tough to get those missile turrets up.
Yeah, that's right. And if nothing else, Xigua only going, as we see him going to Greater Spire and really high tech very early on.
Yep.
It does get scanned though. As we can see, though, he's forced
Ooh, did you see the
Loner
Greater Spire? I think
into
he did.
dumping a ton of resources. Oh, and he picks up the drop as well. It forced him into producing a ton of missile turrets. I mean, this is an enormous amount of resources that he's had to invest into just to go ahead and stay safe
You know,
from those mutas.
Actually, this is pretty normal for mech. You do want to get a few more missile turrets than you normally do, just because you don't have those Marines to stim around and get there quite as fast. You've got Thors, but yeah, if you go mech, it seems weird, but you know, you usually do need a few more missile turrets.
Right.
Maybe not like goody level missile turrets,
But, right, but what I'm
this
saying
about
though
appropriate.
is that, you know, Xigua has switched off those Mutalisks very early on, so not much of an investment himself, and he's been able to do damage where necessary, but then
yeah,
he's been able to switch over to Broodlords a lot earlier on.
It's good to make your opponent have to rebuild them too. I mean, that's definitely a nice thing to try to force your opponent into, spending all the money on rebuilding those missile turrets.
That's
That
right.
command center is
Almost dead.
Not
Ooh.
getting canceled. Oops.
Yeah.
All right.
It's outright killed there, unfortunately, and a lot of SCVs are actually going to die here. In fact,
Yeah.
a couple of tanks are going to go down as well now at the same time.
Here's the big
Loner's
push.
starting to push across the map. This Bailing Nest is, well, that's going to die. In fact, it
Yeah,
doesn't get
that's
canceled.
not
Not
the
really sure what that
safest.
was there for.
Not the safest place to build that ever. Where are the Vikings, though? We need the Vikings there to handle those Brood Lords.
There are only two.
Yep.
And I'm not sure if they're going to be around. Looks like the Corruptors are dropping down Corruption on a couple of these Thors, so we can kill them a little bit easier. Not going to be able to do so quite yet, but now the Broodlords are in, and that is going to be very difficult for Loner to come back against.
Yeah, that's right. He's going to lose a lot of these forces. Luckily, he has done a lot of damage before the Brood Lord's shown up, and he can absolutely, I think, kill this other hatchery before the units go down if he target fires. It doesn't look like he's going to, so he will go ahead and lose the rest of that army, give the supply lead back to Xigua.
Yeah, so really crazy game so far. 67 SCVs, 73 drones at the moment, and because Xigua is sitting on still 4 bases, even after losing that one, and he didn't lose a lot of tech. That wasn't the biggest deal to him. He's got to replace the creep spread here so he makes sure these structures don't die, but really, not the worst thing in the world. He does have double Spire, though, and no upgrades for air coming out yet.
This is interesting. More Broodlords being morphed in down on the map here. Where are the Vikings at? That's kind of the big question I have right now. There are 6 of them out on the map, but they all must be kind of sitting at home right there. Yeah, they are. There they are. Okay. So it looks like Loner just kind of waiting until he has another big force. This is kind of how it is. You send out some Hellions to do a little bit of harassment while you build up your strong, meaty army to go out and really, you know, try to end the game.
Well, unfortunately, these drones are going to be forfeit here as Xigua has to move some of those away. Quite a bit of damage has already been done, and those roaches really slow to react. You will eventually be able to kill them, though.
Yep, that's right. So getting a little bit. Do also need to be careful that you aren't losing too many Hellions unnecessarily, because you do need them to buffer against the roaches and whatever else the Zerg has later in the game too. So Loner kind of walking that tightrope in late game back.
Yeah, he's really got to watch out, though. I mean, this Greater Spire is actually getting quite low, so, I mean, he's going to need to transfuse that to drop down a creep tomb or hope this creep spread's actually in time for him to be able to save that. It may very well get there, but he's voluntarily getting that Greater Spire quite low.
Micro.
Yep.
And he will be able to kill a lot of these Zerglings. Nice kiting with those Hellions, still taking some damage, but Xigua does need to pull those back.
That's right.
Oh, trying to circle around the other side. Well, I mean, he's going to lose these Hellions now, but he may be able to go in there and kill off a couple drones. We'll see.
Yeah, well done. So, let's see. It looks like the Greater Spire is still losing a bit of health there. These command centers continuing to come in fast and furious, but the Broodlords now making their way in. Not a lot to stop them. Oh, there we go. There's the
That's a lot of
Viking count we were looking for. Are there any
Oh,
infestors
man.
behind to
Nope.
help this? No, there are not.
Oh, wow, and all Loner needs to do is just move that army away. I mean, I feel like you really should. He's got some Blue Flame Hellions to handle those Broodlings, but honestly, like having the unit sieged up right there is actually just hurting himself now. So he is going to be able to kill the Brood Lords, taking a little bit more damage than he really should from this.
That's right.
But with that Viking count, he should feel very comfortable moving out on the map after this.
Right, but now iG.Xigua looks like he's moving into, well, 17 more drones. We may see some spine crawlers put up in a bit. But 6 infestors and a smattering of roaches on the ground at the moment. More Zerglings coming in, though. That's what I was looking for.
Yep. It's a lot of Vikings. He could just really land those and kill off a hatchery, too, which may be exactly where he's going. Yeah. What are the upgrades on those as well? Does he have any upgrades? No, none just yet. All right.
Unfortunately, not.
Interesting.
A few Overlords going to bite the dust there, so we'll need to see a couple more of those in just a second. Another Roach Warren coming up, as it looks like the one that was sitting over here in these group of buildings did actually die.
Yep, so right now, iG.Xigua's kind of scrambling. He's like, oh, great, you killed my very expensive late-game army. I'm obviously not going to be able to rebuild it. Oh, the fungal growth could do so much. He does catch some Vikings, but not as much as he could. There's the land, and that hatchery is in trouble.
That's right. Oh, good reaction time, though, from the rest of the Lings and the Roaches, and the Vikings have to pick up and get out of there. Even the couple of seconds they were on the ground already brought the hatchery down 400 hit points, though, so they can be quite effective in mass like that. They're not the most cost-effective units, but they still can do quite a bit of damage.
Yep, works just fine. Looks like Loner's going to need to rebuild a supply depot or two if he wants to go ahead and max out. iG.Xigua trying to just build that late-game army. I feel like Loner should be a little bit more active in terms of harassing with these Vikings. He does have that kind of, oh, look at this, battle cruisers from Loner. Awesome.
Yeah. 2 of them actually coming up at a time right now. I know. Maybe we're going to see a bunch more in a second. This is going to be a pretty ridiculous army. Now, the Viking count is certainly going to prove to be useful later on in the game, though, if he's able to start I'm not necessarily sacrificing a little bit of supply, but trading, then rebuilding into battle cruisers afterwards. iG.Xigua, though, Neural Parasite coming up, Adrenal Glands on the way, but he's close to max himself, but kind of a mishmash of units right now. A lot of Zerglings, a few Infestors, some Roaches, but not a lot of coherence or power to this army.
Man, with some good Hellion usage, the Zerglings could just be utterly destroyed. What you see some Terran players doing, which I think is always a great idea, is when you're in this situation where you know Zerg is kind of sitting out there in the middle of the map, you just go in a little bit and you poke with Hellions and try to get their Zerglings to react. Their Zerglings will immediately outpace the other parts of their army and get separated a little bit, and you can kill off quite a few that way if you're careful. So Loner deciding, though, not to go for that. He's going to be landing maybe. Nope, the Zerglings do come back, but you know, that's actually not a lot. He could still land if he wanted to.
Probably could. Would take some losses of some relatively expensive units, not trade the most cost effectively, as we kind of mentioned before. But that is a lot of command centers on the ground. How many does he have right now? 5, 6, 7, 8 at the moment.
Nice.
So that's pretty ridiculous. He can start sacking some SCVs in a second.
You know, the reason we see Loner being so careful, too, is because by making battle cruisers like this, you're kind of saying to yourself, all right, this next army that I'm going to have is going to be the army I win the game with. Because you can't spend that much on those units and then just throw away your army and expect to be able to remake it and still win the game. So
that's right.
This is going to be about it. Loner's going to need to be very, very careful, very meticulous in how he decides to do things, or maybe he'll just send a battle cruiser randomly across the map. That's a possibility too, I guess.
Battle cruiser harassment, you know?
Why not?
Sure. Okay.
Why not?
Well, +1 attacks. The air-to-surface laser battery dealing out 9 damage per hit.
ATS.
Yes.
Laser battery.
Laser battery.
Oh, and the Corruptors off that.
Trying to take this out. Oh, in the middle of the map as well, we had a few Vikings being taken out, unfortunately, for Loner. So he's actually got to start reproducing some supply. Ooh. Not able to kill that and just lost a 700 resource unit.
He's sending another one over there, too? I do not understand that. I mean, it's your opponent's going to have Corruptors. What do you expect to happen, Loner, honestly?
All
Jeez, man.
Well, a little interesting decision there, but, you know. So, let's see, and I do apologize, actually. I believe that was when we were watching the battlecruiser move over. He's down to was down to just 2 Vikings a second ago, so he actually ended up losing about 20 of them to those Infestors.
Oh, there's a Nidus Worm. Zerglings coming into that 5th base of Loner, and he's going to lose some Mutalisks, or not Mutalisks, Mules. It starts with M. It's close enough, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, the Infestors have Neural Parasite as well, so he would be able to get a pretty good engagement if he forces a front line here in a second. Do you see what's being researched right now for our Terran player? That's right. It is going to be Corvid Reactor and Hunter Seeker Missile.
That's right, and those Zerglings obviously not doing too well against the Hellions. Corruptors, of course. Oh, man, firing at the command center, but it is being repaired. Oh, but the Zerglings killing the SCVs.
That's right. Kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation for Loner. Picking up that command center does end up losing it. Fair number of Vikings still with +1 attacks, +2 on the way, and it looks like they will be able to drive away these forces ever so slowly.
This game is just so crazy right now. This is so awesome. I love it when TVZ gets to this point.
This is pretty ridiculous, I have to admit. Another 15 Corruptors on the way and an Ultralisk Cavern as well. So iG.Xigua is going to be able to produce a lot of cool units here in just a bit.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, this is just such a weird, new agey sort of Terran versus Zerg match. It's really, really cool. But Loner, I mean, both of these guys, Loner and iG.Xigua, have kind of been taking some losses here and there. There's no clear leader right now. I feel like iG.Xigua has a little bit of an advantage, but it could easily change. I mean, Hunter Seeker Missile could do a ton of damage to that right there. I mean, it does a lot of damage in an area, so the Corruptor count could be reduced pretty rapidly.
No Ravens out, though, quite yet,
point.
So, which I'm a little surprised about. That's a huge investment to make if you're not going to produce any Ravens. So. More battle cruisers, more air forces, and this is going to be complete air war. Oh,
that was
Infestor.
close.
I was waiting for just that fungal to capture all of those 18 units there.
Oh, it's a lot of Zerglings moving in a very organized fashion. All right. We want exactly 2 Zergling spaces between each circle.
Well, they've done a good job. Very German approach there. Well, these SCVs taking quite a bit of damage. A few of them are going to go down. The roaches will be able to be dealt with, but that actually did some pretty good economic damage and did some down towards the third as well. So not too bad at all. In fact, as we can see, 65 workers have been killed in this game by iG.Xigua.
Yeah, you know, I feel like Loner has enough to take on that Corruptor army, though. We're kind of waiting for him to make the decision, but I think if the time, you know, was any time, it'd be now. Battle Cruisers versus Nidus Worm. Oh, that's not a very fair fight, man.
No, not at all. Battle Cruisers win that pretty handily.
Two-shot that. Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, supplies pretty even for both of these guys. +3 air weapons on the way for Loner right now. +3 air weapons on the way for iG.Xigua as well. In fact, he'll have
Raven.
a little bit earlier. Yeah, in our first Raven, we're still a long way out from actually seeing any Seeker missiles in action, as it does take like 125 million energy to launch one.
That's true. Also just 125, but...
Or that,
you know. More Broodlords making their way in. I thought I heard another Nidus Worm pop, but I don't see one around anywhere, so may have just been for moving some units from across the map. But we're 31 minutes in now, and hope you guys have enjoyed the content so far. Once again, of course, we are deciding the Light of China, who is going to be flown out to IPL5 as a representative of China.
Man, so many SCVs getting taken out by iG.Xigua. This is really what's helping him kind of get back into this game and stay there. And here we go, sieging up that 5th base with Broodlords and Corruptors. How is Loner going to respond?
That's right. You know, he's almost got this orbital command on fire as well. Looks like he's just going to counterattack. So
it's a base race.
Oh my God! A Broodlord Mass Corruptor versus Viking Battlecruiser tank base race. I don't know who's going to win this.
Well, I think in terms of army, Loner would win a straight-up fight. And if he ever wants to have one, he can, because iG.Xigua can't move away fast enough. Battlecruisers are faster than Broodlords, I believe. So it's kind of up to Loner, and he's choosing to go for that base trade.
Oh, big fungal growth, though, and iG.Xigua could hit that over and over again. Oh, he does get a lot of them. Sport Bowler's going to go to town as well. Oh, my God. Those fungal growths were so good.
You know what I just said about that head-to-head fight? Never mind, because he needed those Vikings. He's still got a good amount, but does he have enough?
I don't know, man. Now the Corruptors are in the fight as well. The Battlecruisers are going to go down. He doesn't have anything to attack the ground, but that's okay, because iG.Xigua could morph these into Broodlords right now, and it would not be a problem.
Man, this is just crazy. iG.Xigua actually suffers a pretty big bank built up. I think that's it. I don't think Loner can win this game.
That was insane. What a ridiculous hold there from iG.Xigua with just a few infestors.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, it all comes down to Loner just not spreading those Vikings as well as he should have. A small thing, it seems like, but a key thing in this long Terran versus Zerg game. And the last of the units, the last of the mech army for Loner getting so low on health.
That's right. So now the Corruptors, unfortunately, oh wow, actually the Vikings don't even want to mess with that. The Corruptors are just going to continue to roll their way through. Nothing really that Loner can do about that.
Yep. How many Corruptors is that? Wow.
And looks like we do have an Ultralisk coming from the back. It's all 3 swipes before it dies, but a few more are going to filter in here in just a bit.
Yep, more Broodlords on the way. Kind of cleanup effort right now from Xigua.
28 Corruptors there.
Yep, that is quite a few.
GG!
There it is.
Wow, and Xigua takes a game back. He's a little bit closer to trying to tie things up now.
Yeah, coming back from the brink.